Hello, hello, and welcome to the DecentraWise Podcast. My name is Pedro.
And I'm Miguel, and you just joined us in our mission to decentralize the world wisely.
Wisely, very important, and it's very uncommon nowadays, but more common than decentralized because most projects are not decentralized at all. So, yeah, decentralizing wisely is very important, and that's why we have this podcast in the first place. And today we have a very interesting topic, and it is about DAOs. And this seems like Chinese. Can you
It's not
start?
Laos.
Let's start by translating from Chinese DAO into a more interesting thing. So, but before that, grab your drink, as always, sit back and relax because we will get nerdy here.
Oh, yeah. Let's go
And
for that.
while you are going from the front side of your seat to the back side of your seat to relax, press the like button and subscribe because it's next to the other side.
Yeah, well, it's also it looks good, like the thumbnail up. It looks good on your screen.
And one very important thing: when you press the subscribe button, it flashes some what's the name of that? Like
Sparkling stuff.
yeah, it does a very interesting light effect.
Yeah, and unicorns fart rainbows, so it's always a good thing. And your bank account looks prettier that way.
especially
yeah, subscribe that.
something interesting before.
Subscribe to our videos.
If you have smoked something, you will see it a little bit more
well,
interesting.
I'm starting from the point that you did smoke something. So yeah,
Okay.
so those sparkling stuff, it's some basic stuff, and also you will get notified about further videos that we make. So yeah, so please like and subscribe in order to make us happy.
Otherwise, if you don't smoke anything, then you are very, very nerdy like us. That's the only option. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah,
So,
in any case, it's always a good idea to do so. So today we are going to talk about decentralized organizations. And can you detail what those are?
So, DAOs. DAOs are one of the hot topics of this day and age in Web3. And sometimes not for the right reasons. Sometimes just like a new form of a company, but without or thinking that that is a way to avoid all the bureaucratic stuff around building a company, around raising capital, around paying taxes, and all that, those annoying things that I don't like either. But uh, we shouldn't get our minds tricked by the idea of a DAO being that. A DAO shouldn't be that. And a DAO should be a new form of organization. It should not be a form of a company without regulation.
Yeah, well,
Does it make
if you're
sense?
thinking if you're thinking that you are creating a DAO in order not to pay taxes, forget about it. It's not the way to
Yeah.
go.
And that's unfortunately the majority of the DAOs that are being built are built for that reason, or for without the idea of creating something different. People just think about creating a company, and then they get problems with that, because companies usually have a structure that is top down, right? There are people in charge of the company, and there are the others that work and are paid, and then there are customers that buy services from the company. And uh, I am buying services from my microphone with my hands. So that is the structure of a company, right? And when you build a DAO, the idea is to be bottom up, right? So what is a DAO? A DAO should be an organization that a community or um, a group of people that are interested in some in building some solution for some problem, get together and decide to organize themselves in a way for them to reach consensus and make decisions for that community. And that's
May
it.
I just interrupt you in something,
Yeah.
because you said that it's supposed to be bottom up, but I think you can organize your DAO however you want. So it's that dynamic. What the DAO does is enforce the rules that you define. So
You can organize a DAO in any way.
and usually they are usually quite flat.
Yes, very flat. And the flatter, the better.
Yeah.
And that's why we see DAOs, and we have worked in many DAOs, and usually we see problems like the creators or the founders that should be founding a company don't have the money to found the company and pay people to work for them. Then they go to a DAO to pay people with tokens that are worthless, so that they start building shit, and then they raise money.
Yeah,
like
and
there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, and they hope the tokens will get some value in order to
and
pay
they
the
reserve
people.
the majority of the tokens for them, rug pull everyone, and go to Caribbean for that's not all DAOs. Don't get me wrong. There are DAOs very valuable,
Yeah,
and if you want to get
a DAO
a
is
grasp,
a tool, right?
So if you want to get a grasp of the good projects that are helping building DAOs, I suggest you go to our website and check our page. On the main page, we have links for them. You check Green Pill, and those links at the left side of the page at the bottom, you will see lots of information about DAOs there. So this is a reality. People do this, and then they get annoyed by people starting to vote and deciding things that they don't want, the founders. And guys, that's the problem. The problem is that you are using the wrong organization type. If you want to build a company, build it, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to be founder and CEO of a company, you are good to go. Just grab a bunch, some money, or contact VC or seed capitals, and fund your project, right? If you have a good idea. If nobody funds your project, it's probably not a good idea. And you should move on to the next, right? And that's the way, right? But if you want to build a DAO, it is a different shit. It's a different beast, right? A DAO should be something more flat. Should be something where your opinion doesn't count. Your opinion,
well, not only your opinion, but
Your opinion counts as
probably
much as the next guy,
as much as the other
right?
20 or 100 guys, depending
Yeah,
on your DAO.
that's the beauty of it is to uh, well, imagine something. If you have a problem that you want to solve, and if you have the solution, build a company and hope that your solution works. If you have a problem and you don't have a solution and you want to create the solution with help from other like-minded people, build it out, right? It's the same thing as open source projects, right? If you want to build, uh, for instance, let's do the usual example, Facebook, right? If you want to build Facebook as a company, you are building it as closed source, and you hire the people you want, pay them, and they work their asses for you, and you build the business model that you designed as founder of Facebook. You, Mark Zuckerberg, I know you are watching our show, so
Yeah, I
kudos to
know
you,
he
man.
already subscribed. So
That is one way to go, right? Um, if you want to build something, but you don't have the means for that, and you don't feel like going after VC funding and all those problems and so on, then you probably would build something open source, right? Because if people find your project and feel that yeah, it resonates with them, they can join, they can help you out, submit PRs, and you have a lot of fun examining the PRs and integrating people's ideas in your project. And with time, it will probably build in something even bigger than the Facebook from the other example, right? Like Linux or any other project that is open source and distributed around the world with thousands of contributors. There are thousands of examples, right?
yeah,
And they work,
yeah,
right? And probably they manage together, or each of those big projects, there's those open source big projects, they probably manage more than uh, the Facebook market cap, right?
yeah. Most likely, yeah,
So it doesn't have to be in the top down idea or the centralized organization type. You can do it on the other opposite way, which is a flat, very distributed, very decentralized way of building things. But for that, I think the best approach is to not have a solution. You have a problem, you want to dedicate a bunch of time to that solution for that problem, and you want to build it with people around you. And I really think that's the most important decision if you want to build a DAO or not. Be honest with yourself. If you want to be a founder of a company, don't build a DAO. You will get annoyed with all the inputs. You will be a victim of your own success, right? If people gather around you, they want to contribute in a level playing field, a level playing field with you, not to be subject to your uh, decisions. That's why there's voting in DAOs, and people should vote. And it's very annoying when we see a DAO that three or four guys have the majority or the large majority of the tokens, and the other guys don't have any say, right? Or even worse, we've uh, noticed that there are some DAOs that have some token, but there is another token which is the voting token, and people have the one token just because they want to participate and want to make certain type of decisions, but other decisions, which are the very important decisions, are only made by the ones that have another token.
Yeah, we are starting to go to the annoyances of the DAOs, because even though it's a good solution, it's not a good solution for every problem. So we need to realize that each project may have its own organization type, and we were talking about to having a flat hierarchy, and everybody has the same voting power. But one of the issues that I see there is that when there is a proposal and people need to vote, probably 90% don't know what they're voting, and they are not capable of making that decision. So you have different people with the same voting power, with different capabilities, and well, it's like in a democracy. Not everybody understands about finance. Most people don't understand about the agronomy problems. Most people don't understand about fishing problems, but people will vote for those kinds of proposals. So I know we are in a country, we are delegating to some parties, but they have a program, and we are voting for that program, or theoretically we should be doing that. This is the same here. So there is a proposal, and I may not understand what the proposal exactly is, or what are the consequences of that proposal, but I will have the same voting power of the people that do know about it. So that's one of the things that I find, let's call it annoying. What I'm saying is that it's counterproductive in a DAO. It's that people that don't understand what they're voting on have the same voting power that the ones that they do.
That is another problem of DAOs. DAOs don't have to vote for everything, and people overvote. They either don't vote at all, or they vote for every single shit that they find along the way, and that doesn't make sense.
Because it creates another problem. How do you decide when to vote or not? So you are pitfalling on another issue.
Yes, and that is another. Overvoting is a very big issue in DAOs, and people should understand that the decisions in the DAO should be at the macro level, not at the micro level. People should support or not going to the right or to the left, right? In some way, not how to go to the right. You have to turn the wheel, press the brake, and do this and that, and build this and develop that, and that is
making
nonsense.
me realize. That is making me realize that, like in the companies, you have the vision and you have the mission, and those are two distinct things. And people should know that the vision is this is where we want to go, and the mission is how we want to go. So maybe we can.
But in DAOs, I would say that the vision is like the why there is a DAO in the first place, right? And the mission is what is voted on. You see?
Yeah, no. Care to explain that?
Yeah, because the vision is like we gather together, the
Mhm.
community,
Yeah.
to go and do this shit, right? This is what our goal is, right? Is to solve this problem. Imagine, right?
Mhm.
And then the mission is what is voted on. People vote to say, okay, in order to achieve our goal, I think it's better to go that route, right? But to go, in order to go in that direction that was decided, the teams that are built inside the DAO should have their own decision making uh, on their own. Like the developers team should take care of the decisions
Yeah.
of development,
Yeah.
right?
So you are
The
talking about having
marketing
a
team
DAO
should
hierarchy.
have the decisions of the marketing,
Yeah.
and so on, right?
Yeah, but you are
Because
talking about
people,
having a DAO hierarchy. So
yeah,
you define things at
and
top
that's
level, but then it goes to another DAO, which is more specific and only with the competent people for that decision.
yeah,
Yeah,
and those people
I do
should
tend to
just
agree with that.
those people should just focus on
Yeah.
that technical part that they understand, and people at large, they vote for let's go north, right?
Hmm.
And the technical people develop the things that take us one step closer to north at a time, and the marketing people will take care of the things that show to the outside world that we are closer to north today than we were to yesterday. And that's the way. Those usually in DAOs are called guilds, and yeah, there are a lot of ideas that are being built around this way of organization, and that's very interesting because we've participated in DAOs that were not built like that, and it's a bit chaotic. Do you remember?
It usually is because we are talking about usually a lot of people. It's not like 5 to 10 people making decisions. We're having like 20, 30, 50 people taking decisions, which is not a good place to be. So and if most of those people don't understand what they're voting on, they're just following the ones that they think they know. So usually you have the CEO as one of the peers, and he will have a lot to say regarding the proposals, and he will influence most of the people because the other guys don't know what's being discussed there. They don't have the technical expertise, uh, and they don't know the impact of those decisions. Uh, so yeah, so I would say that most of the people shouldn't vote.
That's why I think the voting at large should be in a macro level.
I'm a dictator.
The- yeah, you just want to build companies, do not DAOs.
No, I'm up for voting with people that know what they're saying.
Yeah,
Because
and
I wouldn't like to be the only one taking the decision. I like to make proposals, but I like to discuss the proposals and aprimorate and make the proposals more interesting with discussing with other peers, and then having them vote on the solution.
yeah,
So it's not like I want to say how things are done, but I like to have expert people voting on the
yeah,
solution.
and everybody is like that. I think it's very annoying when we have pointless discussions, uh, not just in DAOs, but in organizations in general, many companies you have countless pointless meetings all day.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's like in a
So
company you have a board for a reason, and it's not like everybody is an expert on every subject, but they tend to know a little bit about the business. They tend to know a little bit about each other's tasks and departments and subjects that are discussed in the meetings, and they have something to say. So it's not like there isn't a reason for having a board, um, but in this case, people tend to be not such experts in a lot of subjects, and we are talking about most DAOs will just gather the people that they can, not the best people, but the people that are available for that kind of project.
yeah, and
So most
that
of the
is
times they're not very good at what they're doing and they are deciding. So yeah, that's my point there.
yeah, and that's another. There's another way of seeing things, which is blockchain as an organization uh, idea. Um, it was the earliest form of organization, of decentralized organization, right? And it's the way Bitcoin was built. So Bitcoin, they say that it was the first DAO, but it isn't really technically a DAO. It is a BAO, okay? Blockchain as an organization. So it's a blockchain that pays people to work for the blockchain, right?
Yep.
So uh, people have to contribute resources in order to get paid. And they get to make decisions, very uh, um, very small decisions, uh, like what version is the actual version of the node software, and that's the only thing that they decide,
Yeah,
right?
and you said something that popped up here because in Bitcoin, the you are saying that people just make some work for the blockchain and the blockchain pays those people. And the thing is, it's a quantitative work that people do. It's not a qualitative, like you are making a proposal and the organization has to decide on the quality of that proposal. So it's quite kind of different because quantitative is very easy to account for, and
Yeah,
qualitative work is not as much.
yeah. So Bitcoin is the decision making is um, is qualitative in the sense that they need to understand the code that someone built, and if it makes sense to be integrated in the network or not, right? That's the qualitative part of the decision. But the quantitative part of the decision is the power, the hashing power that you contribute to the network, right? So that's easy. That's easy to account for in the blockchain. The blockchain understands that you have more power than yesterday, and that you will probably get paid more because probabilistically you will produce more blocks than yesterday, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So um, it's it's not a certainty, but is probabilistically the outcome of having more power, right? So, and in the long run, it will fine tune. So it will, in the short term, you probably have outliers, right? Some weeks that you build a lot more blocks than others, right? But in the long run, you will have the median will be that you, with more power, you will have more blocks, and that's it.
And you were talking about the qualitative side of Bitcoin, of the work for Bitcoin, and you were talking about the code and new proposals to improve the Bitcoin code. But that's another DAO that it's above the Bitcoin BAO, right? Because what I'm saying is the blockchain is totally autonomous to make payments for people that produce blocks. But the Bitcoin blockchain doesn't decide if the code is integrated or not. So that's a layer above Bitcoin. Somebody or some DAO, some type of organization is deciding whether the code is included in a new version of Bitcoin or not.
Yeah. So the miners collectively decide, right? If there are more miners approving one code and disapproving the other, right? Then the new version that they approved is the valid one. And if they become very fragmented, there is Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, right? So
yeah, right.
That's why Bitcoin Cash was forked from Bitcoin, because developers didn't agree in the block size in 2017, right? And so people that didn't want to raise the block size stayed in Bitcoin, and the ones that were in favor to double the block size instead of implementing SegWit and other improvements stayed on the other branch, and Bitcoin Cash was created. So that is the forking way of doing things, right? But then other projects, the first that I think of is Dash. Dash started the idea of having proposals on chain and having a treasury and the blockchain paying the contributors. So I think it was Dash, but BitShares also had that. Let me check who came first. Wikipedia should have some page for Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash in 2017, exactly. But before this, BitShares is... Where is Dash? Dash already existed in 2017, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so Dash was launched in January 2014, and
14, and BitShares in 15. Yeah.
No, in July 2014.
14? Yeah. But BitShares 1. Yeah, and then BitShares 2. Yeah, in 2015.
So they are months, 5 months.
So that uh, that idea was, in my opinion, very interesting. And um, in Dash, they were uh, for 4 years they were paying people to do promotions and do like videos on YouTube and stuff like that from the treasury, and um, and um, funding all those projects and funding projects to build on Dash and stuff like that. But then it vanished a little bit because the network doesn't have any major utility, right? Um, and in the case of BitShares, it was the other way around. The network had a lot of utility, like it was the first decentralized exchange, uh, really decentralized, uh, and the problem was that there was no community behind it. It was a problem of having the right people, or having the token distributed enough to different people to create a synergy in the project. And that was one problem that existed for most of the DPoS chains at that time, and until 2018, 19, even in EOS in 2020, it was the same thing. Those chains always created like oligarchies and not decentralized enough to build enough momentum in the community and build um, a synergy of around the people that contribute to that to that organization. But in related to the governance part, BitShares had a very interesting way, which was so they have the miners, the not miners because they don't mine, the block producers, and the block producers produce blocks and they get paid for producing blocks. But they had another type of decision making, which was the committee. And the committee was another group of people that anyone at large could vote to participate. So, if I wanted to be a member of the committee, I would promote it, and I would um, manifest my intention on chain. Right? I want to be a committee member. Please vote me, and people with the token could vote me in to be an active member of the committee. And by being an active member of the committee, I could vote um, the parameters of the chain, right? Vote what
Mhm.
fees to be paid by and this transaction and that transaction and all that. I could vote for uh, what would be accepted uh, to be uh, more fixed parameters for even the um, number of block producers and the block production time and
Mhm.
all those things. So it was very interesting, an idea, and it could be explored more, I think, because the only thing that I didn't uh, quite like, I see the point why they built it that way, uh, but I think it could be more interesting if the committee was paid to do that job. Uh, because in BitShares, the committee members wouldn't be paid; they would be like public servants,
Mhm.
right? And I really think that the committee members should have more work to do, not just defining the parameters and that's it. Uh, they they should be uh, used for other purposes and be paid for that, like uh, like employees
Yeah, I mean,
of the blockchain.
that group is usually also responsible to make proposals, right? And apart from taking decisions, they also come up with new ideas because they know about the problems of the network and they want to solve them. So
Mhm.
they have, but it's really good that they have an incentive. It's not like, well, I'm not even being paid for my time, so why should I be spending my time here?
Yeah,
So they should have an incentive, of course, to be working there.
yeah. I think it could be explored more, and we didn't have much uh, um, experimentation because that's what we are doing here, right? In blockchain, we are
Yeah,
experimenting shit and see what sticks,
yeah.
right? So I really think that it should be explored more. The way to have a committee voted in that people can vote out and like fire members that misbehave, right? They should be accountable, but they should be paid to do a certain job, right? And
Hmm.
I've been experimenting with that idea lately, and I am enjoying the incentive structures because it makes a bit of sense for, and they would be like the full-time employees of the company. And anyone can be employed by the company, by the
Yeah.
blockchain, sorry, not company. uh, Anyone can be employed by the company, project by project. So they BitShares had also a working proposal, and that is the same model as Dash. Um, so people vote in the proposals, and if the proposal gets approved, people start being paid to do that job, and then uh, the amount paid stays in the vesting account, and when the job is done and approved by the committee members, they get, but the debt money gets released to them. So it's like an escrow account where the blockchain can show on chain that the money is reserved for them, and they will get their money if they produce good quality work.
Hmm.
So uh, that is a model that is very common, but I really think that the conjunction of both, like having the committee, like the full-time employees of the blockchain organization that get paid the salary to take care of common things that the chain needs to be done, and the contractors of the chain which make proposals and get approved. I really like that idea. I think it may be very interesting to have that kind of duality in a bow of that kind. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, uh, I'm all for the idea. So I don't really know what to say about it, honestly.
Mhm.
Um,
But it seems like an interesting way of seeing things. If you see the blockchain as the employer, right, or the the company that will pay people to work for them, uh, you have usually both kinds of jobs like full-time employees and contractors, right? If you see it from the company side of things, either you have full-time employees that work all day for you, or you have people that are service-based, and you pay for their services for a certain amount of time, and you get shit done. So that's the whole point of having those two versions, is to count for the more important things that should be addressed in-house, like the decision making, or the developments, or the stuff like that, should be like in a committee style, right, where people get paid to do their job consistently, and or to decide things. For instance, to decide which people are granted certain access to the
Yeah,
features on chain.
but then you
Right.
were all, yeah, kind of, because you were also saying that that kind of it's kind of a board, right? If you are correlating with the company, it should be called the board. So if those guys
It could be.
are also rotating, and as probably they should, but the board is decided usually in a way like a proof of stake relation to a DAO. So those boards, those people on the board are usually the, how do you call them? The stake owners, the ones that have the,
Yeah.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah. The stakeholders.
Yeah, the shareholders. So
Or
the equivalent in a
shareholders.
company is a shareholder. So the board
They don't have to be
is comprised.
shareholders to
Yeah, but
be
usually they
part of the
are,
board.
right? Yeah,
They,
but
they,
usually
they are nominated by the
So
shareholders.
it's the equivalent on a DAO. It should be a proof of stake directly, not a delegated proof of stake, but the proof of stake DAO, which the voting power should be the stake that they have. And
The committee members are voted in by the by the stakeholders, right?
yeah, and in the companies, you also have that duality, that it's the, how do you say, well, you can be a stakeholder but not a decision maker. I don't know the name in English for that. So you may or may not be in the board, even though that you are a shareholder for the company. So it can be the same here. So so that board can be rotated for the most competent people that you may find. But and the other layers that you were talking about, like developing a solution for like a patch for, or some other new functionality for the blockchain, can be automated on the blockchain, so it doesn't have to go through another board. So but then we come down to that decision of the quality and not the quantity, because we are talking about a qualitative work and not a quantitative work. So that's why I say kind of, well, it kind of we can do that, but the qualitative work has to be analyzed first. So it's a little bit like in Bitcoin. You kind of have the experts, which are the block producers, and they will go through the code and they will analyze the quality of the code. So it's not automated, right? It's manually.
I really think, to be honest, I don't think DAOs work for building or for developing.
Yeah, I do agree. It has to be man-made, because it's a qualitative work, and unless you are able to to create a score on the quality of the work that was produced, you won't be able to do that.
Yeah. I think that the development part should be taken care the open source way.
Mhm.
We have an organization already, and it's
Yeah.
decentralized enough, right? Uh, we can have a certain group of core developers that create the code, the initial code, right? And they maintain it, and people can fork it like crazy and contribute PRs and contribute this and that. And either the maintainers maintain the code and are responsible, and uh, people believe them, and they think they are doing a good work, and they continue to be the maintainers of the project, or some other fork wins and starts being the official uh, supported core instead of the first one, and that's the usual way things are built in open source, right? Many projects start with one guy, and then that guy just doesn't have time or gets annoyed with the project and that don't maintain it, and then another guy finds it very interesting and starts building things around it, and even later the first guy gives the original repositories to be maintained by the other guy, and they move on with the project, and the project takes off in a new direction. So I really think that that organization is enough for building software, and that's the way Bitcoin is built, right? They don't
Mhm.
need to have
Yep.
any other kind of organization. It's just that either people continue to do a very good job and they continue maintaining the code. In this case, it's Blockstream, I think, or they get passed by another fork, and another maintainer starts maintaining the code, and
Yeah.
that's it, right? So that organization works for building codes, for developing, and I think that DAOs should concentrate on other things, not the building process, or
Yep. Yeah.
to decide if we
Yeah. They
build this
should concentrate
feature or the
in higher
other.
level decisions.
Yeah, and also another thing that usually is very it's the first reason why DAOs um, don't work, or may fail, is because they forget usually to create uh, um, how can I say it, a cash flow. Uh, for instance,
Know what I mean?
any project to be successful needs to cash flow,
Mhm.
right? Uh, for instance, my my project in like D-Sound back in 2017, it failed because the only way it would survive was by having delegations to uh, the community to decide uh, or to vote for the good content that was created in last week, right?
Mhm.
And that decision was only valuable because as long as people were delegating voting power to to the organization. And if people remove the delegation, there is no cash flow, right? Because the only cash flow that there was that delegation of voting power that we had to manage uh, for a certain period. And that was a problem, right? And since then, I learned that if I build some project and it doesn't have a cash flow, uh, it wouldn't survive the long run. So the most important thing in a company or in any organization is to um, charge for the services provided so that it generates a cash flow to pay the services of other entities, like the people that are hired by the blockchain to produce stuff or to build or to do whatever work that is needed, right? So that is something that usually gets missed
Yeah,
in the
well,
process.
yeah, well,
It has to
if you
generate
don't
some
do
kind
that,
of income.
if you don't do that, that's called dumping, and I think it's a crime, right?
But people just don't just I don't think that I don't think that people just do it on purpose. They
No, I
just
know
forget.
it just
They
is,
just
right?
forget.
Because
They are so
some
passionate
of the
about the
projects, yeah,
solution.
some of the projects don't start as a business, right? And they just start as a pet project, and but when they grow and they become a business, they have certain rules to follow, and it's not because you're using a DAO to make your decisions that you can skip those rules. So if you are selling your product at a price that is lower than the cost, you cannot do that.
It's the same thing. You can be very passionate about building airplanes, but if you forget about gravity, you will have a problem,
Yeah, of course.
right? And this is the same shit, right? If you you can be very passionate about the solution to a certain problem, but you forget about math and
Yeah,
economics,
and
then
don't get me wrong, because you
the
can have
reality,
other streams of income, like YouTube, for instance. The stream of income is publicity, right? And marketing, and other companies are paying YouTube in order to keep our videos free. So, but if you don't have other streams of income, you have to charge for your services. Otherwise, you won't live, because everything has a
yeah.
cost.
So the economic model should be there, whether if you are building a company or if or you are building a DAO, or a BAO or whatever. Um, there should be an economic model, right?
Yeah.
And either it is sustainable or
Yeah,
not.
you need to justify the survival of your business, right? You cannot have a business that have a deficit.
Yeah, you can, but you have to be the money printer.
Right.
If you have
Yeah,
the money printer, then you
you
can
have
be
solutions like that, but
generating
you are
deficits all
sustaining,
the time.
your business, and also the value of your business has to grow more than the inflation that you are creating, because you have models like that, and
Yeah.
and they can survive like that, but the business has to grow more than the or equal to the inflation.
And I'm a very supporter of uh, inflation in economic models.
Mm.
I really think that inflation can be a good thing. Like, don't get me wrong, inflation that is uh, math oriented, not the inflation that is
Yeah, well, it's like I was
that we
saying,
are
the
used
inflation
to.
has to grow with the value of the business. As the
and it
business
ha- and
grows,
it
you can
has
create inflation.
and it has to
Otherwise, you
be
can't.
justified.
Yeah.
For instance, if your network enlarges, why shouldn't the money supply? The problem is if it enlarges this and the money supply grows this,
Yeah.
right? This is the problem that governments do all the time. They inflate tens or hundreds of thousands of times
Yeah.
uh, what they should do.
Yeah, remember that previously the money supply was indexed to the gold reserves that the countries had. And that's how it was supposed to be, right? If you grow your reserves, the value of your country grows, you can print more money and have more money circulating, because that will bring more wealth to the people. But
But that's
otherwise, you cannot.
but that's problematic because if you have the monetary system attached to a physical thing like gold, then you are most of the times tied. You cannot make use of the um, goods inflation because you cannot find more gold to be able to do it easily, right? Uh, but the
No,
problem
it's not
is,
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the amount of gold uh, was directly related to, or it was like a score that you have on your country. Like,
yeah.
it's something that your country values this amount. So it was the money supply was directly indexed to the amount of gold, to the
when
value
you
that you
when
have.
you had the gold standard, it was very difficult to use inflation
Mhm.
mechanism because you had like a cap, right? You cannot go beyond that amount of reserves that you had on gold.
You can, but the price of your money will drop.
Yeah,
The
the
value of
value.
the currency will drop, and that's how you level things. So
Yeah,
if you
but
grow your gold reserves and you keep the same money supply, the strength of your currency will increase.
it gets noticeable uh, to people when it's done that way. That's why every country was taken out of the gold standard because it was easier to control and to use the monetary instruments to inject more liquidity in the economy to build stuff more rapidly. That was
Mhm.
the original idea, but humans do human all the time,
Yeah.
and they they just inflate the shit out of
You
what they
need
can.
money, we print it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
that's
now
the
you don't
usual
even need to
thing, right?
print, right? You just type some stuff on your computer, and there you
And
go.
that's why we have like the dollar valuing less than 1% of what it was in uh, early last century. Like in 100 years, it devaluated like 100% or almost like
Yeah.
99% or something like that. So um, yeah, that's usually the outcome. But if you do that economic model uh, based on smart contracts on chain that is not mutable or possible to uh, misuse like
Mhm.
governments do all the time, uh, then you can have very interesting models, and we've seen that in chains like Steam or uh, chains like that, like Hive, which is the fork of Steam because Steam was taken over, uh, and uh, they have an economic model based on the growth of the network that shares the inflation with the content producers. Like it is like a blog posts chain, like Reddit, and the content that is more valuable is the content that receives more rewards, and it's today still alive and well, and distributing very interesting rewards between the people that produce content there. So I don't see anything wrong with the economic model around
Mhm.
that. I really think that the community is very centralized, it's very concentrated, it's an oligarchy where a very small group of people gets everything out of the chain and the rest gets the rest, right?
Yeah.
So um, but the economic model, I think it's very interesting, and it's an inflation-based economic model. So we can do everything on chain, and the beauty of this space is exactly that: is for us to use these uh, ideas and to make it so that organizations or blockchains become valuable things that work autonomously without us being there,
Mhm.
um, and paying people to do what the blockchain needs uh, is a very interesting model for me. I really like it.
Yeah, I do agree.
So, uh, anyone has any question about DAOs or anything? Say now, or uh,
Shut up until the next episode.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think there is a lot to discuss around DAOs and DAO models and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think we need further episodes to discuss some politics inside DAOs, to discuss the hierarchy solutions and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg because there is a lot of things to discuss in DAOs and how decentralized they are and stuff like that. For instance, a very simple thing that most DAOs don't do is um, or they don't do properly is, for instance, a domain name. Something as easy as that usually is done wrong, right? People just uh, the creators of the DAO registered the name themselves, and that's it. But it shouldn't be like that, right? To be decentralized, the DAO should not rely on any domain name. It should either publish everything on IPFS without any domain name, and members of the DAO, any one or all of them, should have their own address, right?
Mhm.
I register one address because I love this DAO, and you register another one, and we point to the same content on IPFS,
Yeah.
right? And another guy on the other side of the planet joins the DAO and finds us very cool people and likes us and likes the idea that we are solving, and he registers another name. And then there is redundancy around this. It's a very simple thing. But if you check, most DAOs do wrong. They use their own private names to register the domain name, and they use a single domain name. And then, if they do become very attractive, and if they have some breakthrough uh, that the powers that we don't like, or they want to tax and they can't, those people go to jail
Yeah, we need a
easily.
step-by-step
Yeah,
tutorial on how to implement uh, decentralized systems properly.
yeah. This is a very interesting topic, but it's a huge one,
Yep.
and we should probably break that down even further and think about how to do certain types of things in each episode, because
Hmm.
it's a huge subject. Doing things decentralized, or
Yep.
decentralized enough
Yeah.
in the first place. But I hope that this introduction to how to build a DAO, or how to organize a DAO, it was more like that, um, was interesting. If it sparked any interest on your side, um, check our website. We
Yeah.
have
Leave a like. Don't forget
a
to leave a
lot of
like and
information.
subscribe.
And
And yeah, check our website.
on
And
the website, we have on the left side bar, at the bottom, you have links there. Check Green Pill. They are doing a very interesting work around how to decentralize DAOs properly. And yeah, uh, get back to us if you have any questions or stuff like that. We are always available to help out.
yeah, reach us in
And
our social links that you can see down below.
yeah,
And yeah, ask us questions, some doubts that you have, or some subjects that you would like us to talk about. Yeah, get to us, and we'll try our best to get to you as best as we can.
yeah. And please don't think that DAOs allow us to do whatever shit we want without uh, having to pay attention to regulation. Going that route will get you very nasty things. DAOs are a different way of organizing people, but people still have their own um, obligations to
Yep.
taxes, to governments, to all that shit. If you are a libertarian like me and you don't really like that kind of organization, you are uh, allowed to think what you want, but you still have to comply. Otherwise,
Yeah.
nasty shit happens.
Yeah, it is
And
what it
that's,
is. So
yeah,
you cannot run from
in,
that.
yeah. The only thing that is certain is death and taxes. So
Yeah.
you have to do that.
So they say.
Uh, yeah. So, and they say it for a reason, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
uh, we can think what we like, but complying with the powers that be is very important, and you can do it in your own way as long as you follow basic rules, and then do your own thing, right?
Hmm.
So um, and DAOs should be a way to solve consensus reaching, not to avoid uh, uh, not to avoid that
Not to avoid
compliance,
taxes. That's what you want to
and
say.
not to
And regulations, of course.
raise money illegally and all that. And so, and if you look around, there are a lot of examples that fall in these categories that I've just mentioned.
Yeah.
So um, be careful, guys. Don't do wrong shit in this space, because it's all transparent. It's all very public, and sooner rather than later, uh, you will be in bad places, right?
Yeah.
So if you do it right, and if you follow the rules, and you decentralize enough, you just build very beautiful things that most probably will become infinite, even without you. So that's the beauty of this, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think we can wrap up.
I hope that we sparked.
It was a
little
really
bit
nice discussion.
the interest on your side, and yeah, we will most likely dig deeper on each part of this subject in other episodes. So stay tuned for more.
Yeah. Thanks for helping us decentralize the world wisely.
And
See
join
you on
us
the next one.
in this mission. And yeah, cheers. See you in the next episode. Bye bye, guys.
Cheers.